I think the most like top of mind thing that we either get asked on or also have to deal with with other agencies is like who owns what.
Mhm.
And ownership can be really like dicey where it's like who owns what. And what I mean by that is so you can own the underlying data, right? So for example, say you like Facebook owns the Facebook data, right? Like it's
Yeah.
in Facebook. And I think it's there for like 36 months. I'm not exactly sure. They keep changing it. Whatever, however long it's there. So you can
Mhm.
only pull the last 36 months from Facebook. Facebook owns that data. But
Mhm.
then there's the connection between like that and then a database. Say you're using Facebook to like a Google Sheet, for example, to keep it
Mhm.
simple. So someone owns the actual connector that goes between that. It could be Power My Analytics, right?
Mhm.
So like if you have
Yeah.
the agency account, like the agency might own that. Or does the client own that connection? Who owns the Google Sheet? Does the client own it? Or does like even if you're in a company, like does Susan own it or does Brian own it? Right?
Yeah.
Like who owns the Google Sheet? Then there's the connection from the sheet to Looker Studio. Who owns that connection, right?
Yeah.
And then there's the actual data source inside of that. And then there's the report that someone could own. Who owns all of that is something no one talks about ever. Like that is
Yeah.
something nobody ever thinks about is like who owns this stuff. And
Yeah.
so that's been like pretty top of mind of like we try to take the approach of like we don't own anything. We try to build it all on the client
Wow.
because we want to make it as if we get hit by a bus, like you're not out. Like if like our entire team was like on a plane and the plane crashed, like your reports don't go down. And like, if you decide to leave us, we don't want you to have a sour taste in your mouth of like, oh my goodness, these guys took all the data with them. Because
Yeah.
even if it was just a report that broke, like they'll still think that, even if they do own it all on their Google Sheet and everything else. So like
Mhm.
that's our approach is like we try to make it so that the client owns as much as they physically possible. And
Mhm.
then we just own like the actual work that we're doing and maintaining and all that jazz.